I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I, your humble host, am a grave threat to democracy. This according to the Yale Daily News. I will be going to Yale next week with Senator Cruz. He and I are going to be doing an episode of our Verdict podcast there live. And the Yale Daily News is encouraging people not to attend. According to this opinion column from a freshman at Yale, Cruz and Knowles are speaking, do not go. The argument for why he talks about how Senator Cruz is a threat to democracy because he supported Trump, and that's terrible. But I'm a threat to democracy, apparently, because on the anniversary of January 6th, I implored people to remember, quote, the wise men who traveled a great distance for their leader, the true leader of us all, in defiance of an unjust government. I am not saddened that someone is attacking me in the Yale Daily News. Frankly, that brings me back to my youth. It's been a solid decade since that's happened, and it brings back happy memories. I am upset, however, that these supposedly educated Yaleys don't get my excellent Feast of the Epiphany joke that I told on January 6th about the wise men following their true leader. Okay, that's fine. The student goes on. Let's be clear, Ted Cruz and Michael Knowles are guilty of chipping away at democracy. This is a terrible thing. We should care about democracy. Quote, holding fast to democracy starts at the local level by refusing Cruz and Knowles an audience. You have a method of intervention. Buy tickets, but don't attend. That's a genius move. Pay us not to do anything. You're showing us, hey, by the way, if you send me just Venmo payments right now to Michael Knowles, that'll really show me, that'll teach me a lesson. So, and the more money you send, the more of a lesson I'm going to learn. Libs. Checks are fine too. You can make them out to cash. That'll hurt. That'll sting. Refuse to legitimize the event, he writes. You signal to other Yale students and to the organization that invited them that democracy is non-negotiable and that you refuse to normalize the abnormal rather. This is what good civic action looks like. There are many ways to do this. I'm only suggesting one. Yale is an influential cultural, political, and economic institution. This is my favorite line of the whole piece. Yale students, flush with that great power, hold the great responsibility to fight for a more just and healthy democracy. Democracy is non-negotiable. Don't go see Cruz and Knowles. Okay. The reason I bring this up is not merely to make fun of the truly grandiose notions that 18-year-olds at Yale have about their place in society and their role in America. We must defend. We 18-year-old Yale students are the great bulwark against tyranny. We must wield our great power of picking a few classes and going to parties on the weekends. We must wield that power to save democracy. But it's because of this word democracy. Because they keep using that word democracy, and democracy does not mean, I think, what they think it means. Ted Cruz, whether you like him or not, is a United States Senator. He was elected by the people of Texas. He is as representative of American democracy as it gets. I do not hold elected office. I have a podcast. I have a few podcasts. They're pretty popular podcasts. They get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, sometimes over 1 million views. I'm not saying that means that I am a representative of American democracy, but it does mean that there is an audience for this. That's at least some of the American people want to hear what I have to say and want to engage with the kind of reporting that we're bringing here and the kind of stories that we're discussing. That would be, to a smaller degree, representative of American democracy. And I would suspect that Senator Cruz and I are a little more representative of American democracy than an 18-year-old at Yale. So why does the 18-year-old at Yale think that he is the great defender of democracy? Because he's not really talking about democracy. When the libs use the word democracy, what they really mean is liberalism or progressivism or leftism or whatever word you want to use. But this explains how a United States senator speaking is anti-democratic, but some extraordinarily unrepresentative, elite, far-left people are speakers for democracy. This explains how in 2016, when the people vote for Donald Trump, that's an assault on democracy. This explains how in Hungary, when the people vote for Viktor Orban, who is a conservative leader there, that's all reported everywhere in the West as an assault on democracy, because it has nothing to do with democracy and it has everything to do with liberalism. And I think it has everything to do with the liberal and ultimately then progressive view of the world, which is that there is a clear ending point for history. There is a clear political end that we are going to. The arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice, and by justice the libs mean their political program. And this is good for everybody, and we should all know it. And so any time that an election doesn't go the way that liberals want it to, by definition, that election was illegitimate. This is why the libs don't respect the results of the 2016 election. This kid at Yale has a problem with Senator Cruz raising questions about the 2020 election, which was by far the most corrupt election in the last 100 years at the presidential level. This is an election where they changed all the rules right beforehand, and where in some states they held the election in violation of the state constitution, like in Pennsylvania. This is an election where there are lots and lots of questions. And yet if you raise questions about that election, you're a threat to democracy. If you raise questions about the 2016 election, which was a perfectly ordinary election, which was not conducted during a global pandemic with widespread mail-in ballots, where the worst thing they could claim occurred in 2016 is that the Russians spent $100,000 on Facebook ads. The Daily Wire spends that on Facebook ads in what, like 2 hours? That's nothing compared to what you would see in terms of an actual interfering campaign in an election. And yet they say that's illegitimate. It's only illegitimate because the conservative won. And I can't wait. Look, this advice isn't really all that wise in the Yale Daily News, because the event that I've got with Senator Cruz sold out within about 2 seconds. So it's already sold out. But I would encourage people to stand in the waiting line. We're going to get out there. We're going to spread some conservative views to a campus that has gone extremely left, and it's going to be a great deal of fun. This is where the fight is at. This is why what you're seeing in Virginia, in Florida, even in South Dakota now, the political fight to stop the radical left is focusing on the schools. That's where it should be. The schools, the classrooms are a crystal ball to show you what your country is going to look like in 20 years. Did you like that clip? I'm glad. Even if you didn't like that clip, subscribe, ring that bell, get the notifications. Also, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Sign up for The Michael Knowles Show. Leave a 5-star review. We'll see you next time.